Good evening. Good evening to all of you. If I'm audible, I'm visible, just give me a thumbs up that I know that I'm audible, I'm visible both. No issues? Perfect. So we'll wait for 2 to 3 minutes and then we'll begin. Okay, perfect. Audible, visible, no issues. Great. Great, great, great. Okay. I'm waiting for everybody to join in and thereafter we will begin. Anubhav will figure that out. What is the issue? Don't worry about that. See, I'll show you how these questions have to be approached, and you will realize that you only need residual knowledge. Don't need too much knowledge with regards to history generally. Just have to use your basic logic residual knowledge. And I'll show you that there are 51, 52 questions which we take today. We'll discuss those. Don't worry about that. So good evening. It's good to be back. And I hope that you all did attempt this paper irrespective of your preparation, because that helps you generally in knowing that how your preparation is going, which are the areas which are very, very strong, which are weak. So it is always good to always give the PTS examination irrespective of your preparation. This is a very important thing which students need to inculcate. They think that I will complete everything and then go for the PTS. Don't. Give it, because that will help you generally understand how the questions are framed, what are the topics which come in the examination generally, and that is important in the long run. Okay. So we have to discuss the second history paper. There were two papers which were specifically ancient, medieval, and art and culture. And the next two papers which you will be giving, history 03 and 04, would be modern India centric. And we have tried to make sure that there's a good mix of ancient, medieval, art and culture. And in art and culture itself, there is current affairs. So you will see that I will be doing a lot of questions today. If you would not have attempted them, you should know that current affairs in the examination. Therefore, we did that question. So we will try to cover as many questions as possible within the 2 hour time frame we have, and ancient medieval art and culture is the focus itself. So I'm audible, I'm visible, there's no issue at all. If you give me that last thumbs up, we can then begin. Perfect. So I'm audible, I'm visible, no issues at all. Perfect. So let's begin our discussion for today. So this is the first question. Consider the following statements regarding tribal paintings of India recently seen in the news. So this type of question becomes important, though it's a very simple, straightforward, it's an education-based question. We're trying to tell you something. The Chitra art practiced by the Diwaru community is created on red mud walls using rice paste and white mud. The Varli painting, so this becomes important. First this, then second. Varli painting are ritual paintings of indigenous Varli people in which only white pigment is used for painting over the red colored base. And then the Idatal. The Idatal, which is the primary deity of the Shora tribe, is honored through wall paintings created by the Shora people, which is known as Itlaon or Itkaons. Now, as I said, you would know it, you won't know it. The point of this question is to tell you something, because all three have been in the news. And what we are trying to do here is I'm going to show you these three so that there's certain kind of visual memory which you develop in that regard. So this is the Chitra art which we are talking about. This is Idatal, and this is very famously Varli painting. And you can see why UPSC could ask this question, because these three look the same. Because of their red base, they have a commonality, which is the red base. But over that, the way they are depicting certain things are quite different. So here it's more prehistoric, very stick figures, very, very big figures. On the other hand, they have more intricate design. They try to pack in more. On the other hand, they have very intricate themes. Therefore, the answer to this question is which is correct? All three are correct. This question, these are type of questions in which we try to educate you. We are trying to give you very important information through this question. So please try to create a certain kind of visual memory of these three. They all three were in the news for different reasons altogether, but you need to know them generally. The Chitra, Varli, and Idatal. You need to know all three for the examination. This is not a difficult question. It's a factual question, but it's a current affairs based art and culture question. That is why it becomes important. Now let's move to the second question, which is an interesting one. Again, see, I am telling you how to approach this question with basic knowledge. Basic knowledge of R.S. Sharma or basic knowledge of the PPTs. How can you approach this question? Consider the following statements with reference to Mauryan society. According to Megasthenes, the institution of slavery did not exist in Mauryan society. The Anant, Ant, Vasin were the term was used for Brahmanas and Kshatriyas during this period. The society was free from the social evil of untouchability. We have to see which are incorrect. Which are incorrect. Okay. Now the point here is very simple. There's a very good chance that you don't know the first statement. But one statement here is a slam dunk. Very easy. It's given in every source. Very standard question. It says society was free from untouchability. Ironically, it was the Mauryan period in which untouchability actually emerged. So this statement is incorrect. Therefore, the option has to have three. And therefore, automatically one which is correct, because Megasthenes was not able to understand the Dasa-Dasi tradition. So he thought that there was no slavery. Within the notions of Greek slavery, there was no slavery. However, this statement is totally correct. Now, we have to decide, three is common to both, if second statement is also incorrect or not. It says Antavasin are the words which are used for Brahmanas and Kshatriyas during this period. Now, this again can be understood by basically using logic. It says Ant Vasin. Ant means end. Either you know this, which is this linguistic analysis, or you know that technically Brahmans and Kshatriyas are called Dvija. They're called Dvija rather than Antanvasin. This is the term which is technically used for lower Varnas. So this statement is also incorrect. Answer is D. But the basic point here is, what did I use? I used my basic knowledge to come to 50%. 50-50. And thereafter, I tried to do what is called close reading of the terms. And therefore, I was able to see that it says Ant. Ant means last, last or end. And within the Varna structure, the end would be the lower Varnas rather than the first two in that regard. And the term which is technically used for them is Dvija, which is twice born concept. So this question is interesting. It is not difficult. Again, it uses basic logic and basic residual knowledge of your Mauryan society. It's not asking you for something extraordinary. The examiner has been able to give you the two options 50-50 based on one basic standard fact in that regard. Everybody is getting the basic point. Till this point, everybody is with me. No issues? Okay. Now, this is a bhakti. Bhakti is important, remains in the news from time to time. Consider the following statements in the context of Bhakti saints of Maharashtra. Eknatha was the founder of the Bhakti movement in Maharashtra. Sant Tukaram and his works are central to the Varkari sect across Maharashtra. You can Nanadeva, Gyanadeva, whatever you want to call it. Nanadeva was the contemporary of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj and was responsible for creating the background for Maratha nationalism, which is incorrect. So firstly, read very, very closely. Incorrect. Now, what the examiner here has done, he's just reversed a lot of facts. First and foremost thing, who is the founder of Bhakti movement in Maharashtra? Not Eknatha, but Gyanadeva. Tukaram is very important for the Varkari sect, totally correct. So this is incorrect. And it was technically Sant Tukaram, who was the contemporary of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, and the reason for Marathi nationalism. So basically, it says which of these statements is are correct, and it's that type of question. None of the statements, only one, only two, all three statements. So here the answer is only two statements are incorrect. The correct statement is yes, Tukaram equals to the Varkari sect. The founder is Gyanadeva, and the contemporary of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj is not Gyanadeva but Tukaram, and his writings were very, very important in creating the nationalism within Marathas against the Mughals. So this question, little bit tricky. I will not say it's an easy question. It's a moderately difficult question because you need to know the basic timeline of these personalities. Okay. Now, which one of the following ports of the Sangam age was located on the western coast? Niruparayur, Puhar, Korkai, or Muchiri. This is also called Muzirish. Something written like this also, Muziris. See, now this question I'm doing because in class we talk about maps. We talk about maps. And this tells you why it is important to just know the spatial distribution of basic important sites. Now, if you know the Sangam polities, Chola, Chera, and Pandya, technically, three of these sites are Chola and only one is Chera, which is Mujiris, and the answer is technically D, Mujiris, because you can see it on the map. Puhar, Nirapetu, Korkai. Muzirish is the only site, and it was in the news recently because of getting its heritage tag. This site was one of the most important sites for Roman trade happening during this period, during the Sangam period. So therefore, when we talk about maps in the class, this is just a wake-up call for you. When we talk about the maps in class, do look at the basic sites because they help you in understanding where the basic spatial distribution of things are. These type of questions are becoming more and more common. It's a factual question. It's a difficult question. If you don't know it, you don't know it. But you need to understand that everything which is given in the book sometimes has meaning, specifically in the NCERTs and the basic books which we are covering at this point of time. So it's an easy question. We don't need to waste more time over this. Question number 8. Consider the following statements with reference to King Ashoka. During his reign, the territory of the Mauryan Empire extended up to Kandahar in Afghanistan in northwest. According to the Dipavamsa and the Mahavamsa, Ashoka was converted to Buddhism by his nephew Nirodha. During his reign, the second Buddhist council at Patliputra was organized. Now, again, in this question, out of the three statements, one is a very easy statement. It's a very standard, most basic statement which you need to know. Can you tell me which is that statement? Yes, very good. Which is the third statement. The third statement is a type of a statement which technically should not bother anybody because it's a very standard thing. It says second Buddhist council and Ashoka. No. First, second, third, fourth, four Buddhist councils. It is the third Buddhist council over which Ashoka presided over, and the Abhidhamma Tipitak, which is Vinay and Sutta already in the first one. Third one, the Abhidhamma Pitaka or the Tipitaka, the third of the Pitaks, was written during his ascendancy or when he was the presiding over king. So this statement is totally incorrect. We have to find the correct one. So if this is incorrect, two options automatically get eliminated. Now we need to know if Mauryan Empire extended till Kandahar when he was in power, and over and above that Ashoka and the concept of Nirodha. Now, first statement is totally correct because we have an inscription in, or what we call as a major rock edict in Kandahar itself. So this is totally correct. And the answer, the question itself is giving you the answer that second is technically correct. So the answer here is 1 and 2 both. But we needed to know only one thing here, which is basic knowledge of Buddhism, first, second, third Buddhist council, and over and above that, where are the major rock edicts of Ashoka? So we know that one, the Khoroshti script one is already in Kandahar sector. Therefore, this is totally correct. And 2 automatically is coming out. And yes, there is 2 basic stories within the Dhamma background of Ashoka. One, that his nephew was the one who converted him under Deepa Vamsa and Mahavamsa, which are Sri Lankan sources written after Sangamitra and Mahendra reached, his son and daughter reached Sri Lanka. And there is also another name which is linked to Ashoka, which is called Upagupta. Upagupta is the person who is also considered sometimes as the person who persuaded Ashoka to go for Buddhism, but he was technically a teacher and mentor for Ashoka. So here again, I didn't use any extraordinary fact. This question seems difficult, but is using basic facts and the concept of elimination. And once you are using elimination, automatically the answers are coming to you. You only need to then use your basic logic, basic understanding of the Mauryan period. Okay. Now, with reference to orthodox and heterodox schools of Indian philosophy, consider the following statements. Now, very important, 6 schools of philosophy. Now, it says both orthodox and heterodox, which means the 6 schools here and here Charvakism. The heterodox sect or the heterodox school is Charvakism or Lokayata. Both these schools believed in the authenticity and originality of the Vedas. Major sub-schools of both these schools agreed that man should strive for fulfillment of the 4 goals: dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Now we need to decide which is correct. Now here you need to know technically basic understanding of philosophy. First and foremost thing is, why are they called orthodox and heterodox? They're not religions, they're schools of philosophy. The fact that they're called orthodox and heterodox is because orthodox schools accept the authority of the Vedas to some level, and the heterodox schools don't, which is Charvakism doesn't, materialism doesn't. So basically, when it's talking about both do not believe in the Vedas. Only the orthodox schools do, heterodox schools don't. Statement incorrect. Second is the fact that Charvakism, heterodox schools don't care about moksha. And this is the basic point. When you would have done it in class, or when we will be doing it in class, you will understand that all the 6 schools, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Mimamsa, all are obsessed with what is going to happen after death. Charvakism says, no, no, no. We don't care what is going to happen after death. We don't care about moksha only. We want to enjoy life the way it should be. Therefore, this statement is also incorrect because both don't strive for moksha. Only orthodox schools strive for moksha, not the heterodox ones. So, the answer here is, which is correct? Neither one nor two. Both statements are incorrect in that regard. Okay. Till this point, any issue? No issues. Perfect. Now, interesting question. And here I just need to use logic and nothing more. Don't even need to know the basic details of Guptas. Use your logic. Which one of the following options is incorrect in reference to the social system during the Gupta period? The Brahmana settlements called Agraharams or Brahmadaya increased in number during this period. This period saw a significant proliferation of castes in the caste into numerical subcastes, so which is called Varna Samskara. During this period, women belonging to lower Varnas enjoyed much more freedom than women belonging to higher Varnas in terms of earning their livelihood. During this period, the practice of niyog or widow remarriage became more prevalent among the Brahmins as compared to the Vedic times. Now, you tell me which out of the 4 looks most absurd with regards to Gupta period. You tell me. A, B, C, or D? Okay. So, most of you agree that basically, it is D, which seems absurd. Why? Because it is saying that widow remarriage increased during the Gupta period. And this makes no sense. This makes no sense at all, because at the end of the day, the point is that Gupta period is the period of Brahmanical resurgence. And if it's the period of Brahmanical resurgence, then how can it be that the most sacred of practices in the Brahmanical marriages, there's an increase of widow remarriage? So basically, incorrect. This is totally correct. Agraharams, Brahmadaya, land grants were increasing. Proliferation of caste was happening, yes, because of intermixing. And women of lower Varna had more freedom than higher Varna, totally correct. So the answer here becomes D. This is an incorrect statement. This is an incorrect statement, because at the end of the day, they went down rather than going up. This question needs basic understanding of Indian society. Nothing more, nothing less. Just basic understanding of Indian society. Because when the Gupta period is known for Brahmanical resurgence, Brahmanical resurgence would only mean crystallization of practices which are outside the purview or which are inside the Brahmanical fold. Therefore, how can there be more widow remarriages when it is not considered something acceptable within the Brahmanical fold itself? So, what I used technically is a very basic understanding, nothing more, nothing less. But these are also known facts. Yes, Agraharam Brahmadaya increasing is a known fact. Proliferation of caste is a known fact. And women of lower Varna had more freedom because they get access to economic resources with agrarian expansion. Right? Is this clear, everybody? Ashutosh, more or less, yes. Moderate to hard. Moderate to hard. Okay, perfect. Now, consider the following statements regarding the mural paintings of Badami caves in India. The mural paintings in these caves are patronized by the Pandya dynasty. These paintings' stylistic representation is an extension of Ajanta tradition of murals. The paintings also provide evidence about life in royal palaces in those times. One of the famous mural paintings in these caves is the ancient mural showing four-armed Brahma on his swan. Now, this question needs a little bit of context. But if you have basic understanding of geography, you technically don't need to do anything. I'll tell you how. It says Badami. Badami is in the Deccan sector. Badami caves are in the Deccan sector. Now, if they are in the Deccan sector, it is saying it is patronized by Pandya. Technically, that can't be, because then Pandya and the Badami caves, their location don't intersect. Therefore, the catch here is that the Badami caves would be more or less rather more suited to maybe the Chalukyas or to the Satavahanas rather than the Pandyas or the Cheras or the Cholas, because Tamil Nadu, Kerala and that whole sector, Badami is much more upwards towards the Maharashtra sector. Therefore, again, if you know the basic location, the answer is technically Chalukyas of Badami, if you remember, basic, again, post-Gupta dynasty. But the basic point of the matter here is, I'm not using my history knowledge. I'm using my knowledge of geography, basic geography, that Badami caves come in the upper sector, the Maharashtra, Karnataka sector, and Pandyas would technically be Tamil Nadu, Kerala sector. Therefore, if you know that this statement is incorrect, what is correct? See, automatically the answer comes to you. B, 2 and 3 only. So here again, 2, 3 and 4 only. So basically here you don't need to know that if stylistic representation of Ajanta, yes, it is an extension. Was it representing royal palaces? Yes, it was representing. Is the four-armed Brahma on his swan a very important? It is. But the basic point of the matter is I didn't need to know these. I only needed to know the location. And once I know the location, I don't need to know the other fact itself. So use elimination as much as possible. because it gives you the answer automatically. One is here, one is here, one is here. Automatically, these three get eliminated. So it's an easy question if you know the trick. And the trick is to not know everything. There's no way I can expect you to know the intricate details about these basic caves and all. But the basic location is something which we cover and you should be covering in your preparation in that regard. Okay. Now, Pushyamitra Shunga, post-Mauryan period, interesting phase. As per Banabhatta's Harshcharita, Pushyamitra Shunga laid the foundation of the Shunga dynasty after killing the last Mauryan king. Patanjali, who wrote the Mahabhashya, was a contemporary of Pushyamitra Shunga. He was also the main protagonist of Kalidasa's first play. Now, here again, you need to know basic knowledge of 3-4 very basic things. First things first. Kalidasa wrote Malvika Agnimitra. Malvika Agnimitra, the text itself, is technically not the story of Pushyamitra Shunga, but it is story of his son Agnimitra. So this statement is incorrect. So we need to know how many statements are correct, and we don't have the luxury of elimination now because the examiner has not given us that 1, 2, 1, 2, and 3. So now we know that the answer is not all three statements. One is incorrect for sure. Now, did Banbhatta talk about Pushyamitra Shunga killing Brihadratha and coming to power? Yes, he did. And this is the basic point. Pushyamitra Shunga, Brahmanical Senapati, is going to kill the last Mauryan king and is going to capture power. Thereafter, Patanjali wrote Mahabhashya and he was writing it in the court of Pushyamitra Shunga. Shunga is a Brahmanical kingdom or is a Brahmin himself, therefore Sanskrit revivalism, therefore Patanjali's Mahabhashya. Yes, totally correct. So here only two statements are correct. Now this question is deemed as difficult. It is technically not a difficult question, but because of this, it becomes a difficult question because now you need to know the basic facts more than you needed to know in an elimination based question. So here, if you don't know, you should know. Pushyamitra Shunga, yes, kills Brihadratha to come to power. Second, yes, Patanjali. No, there are two Patanjalis, remember. One is the yoga one. This is Patanjali Mahabhashya, very important grammar book. And Kalidasa wrote in Malvika Agnimitra the story of Agnimitra. It's in the name itself, Malvika Agnimitram. But it's Agnimitra, the son of Pushyamitra Shunga, rather than Pushyamitra Shunga itself. Any issues in this question? See, HS Yadav, the fact is that this is a very standard fact which is given in all books. So you don't need to go to an extraordinary length to find it. There are only 6-7 facts which you need to know about Pushyamitra Shunga. And one of them is this only. So if this question, I deem it very difficult if it was a very obscure fact. It's not an obscure fact. Okay, now this is a very interesting question. And I want you all to attempt it with me, which is that it is using geography, a type of question which came in 2019, and the understanding of art and culture, and then the understanding of map of India. So I'm going to give you the time. I'm going to push a poll to you. You are a martial arts enthusiast. If you travel by road by the native place of martial arts called the Imbuan wrestling to the origin place of martial arts Kalripat or Kalripatu, what is the minimum number of states within India through which you can travel, including the origin and destination, including the states which are of Imbuan wrestling and of Kalripat? So you have to add that also, right? So I'm pushing a poll to you. It's an interesting question. That is why I'm pushing it to you. And I'm giving you time also. I'm giving you 1 minute. Figure it out. It's a good question. Come on, everybody is going to attempt. Okay, 20 more seconds. Come on, everybody has to attempt. Don't write it, attempt it. Great. 50% of you got it right. It's 7. 25% said 6. You're not counting the destination. And 21 said C and 6% said D. Okay, let's count it. First and foremost thing, Imbuan wrestling and Kalripat, the origins are very important. Mizoram, Kerala. So see, we start in Mizoram 1, Assam 2, West Bengal 3, Odisha 4, 5, Andhra Pradesh. Now either you can take Karnataka or you take Tamil Nadu. This is 6 and this is 7. So total 7. You go like this till Andhra Pradesh is the same. Then you can change the route. Either way, it doesn't matter. Take Tamil Nadu or take Karnataka. You have to reach Kerala. So it becomes 7. Total 7. This is an interesting question because it is using residual knowledge, using the map itself, geography. So this is how two different subjects can come together. This type of question came previously, but now we've added art and culture into it. And with adding art and culture into it, you can see how a question can become so dynamic in that regard. So it's an interesting and very well made question in that regard because it's checking three things. First, do you know Mizoram, Imbuan wrestling? Then you know Kalripat and Kerala. Then you know the map of India. And then you know how to read a map also. Because you have to imagine it within 1 to 2 minutes in the examination. So it's an interesting and important question. And you should be practicing these type of questions in that regard. No, Swapnil, we are adding either Karnataka or Tamil Nadu. It doesn't matter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Till Andhra Pradesh it is 5. Now, if you take Karnataka, you take 6 as Karnataka or you take Tamil Nadu as 6. Doesn't matter. Then 7 becomes Kerala. So it's about which route you want to take. That's it. Okay. Again, an interesting question. He came to the Mughal Empire in search of opportunities. He was in India for 12 years and was closely associated with the Mughal court as a physician to the Prince Darashikoh, the eldest son of Emperor Shah Jahan, and later as an intellectual and scientist with Danishman Khan, an Armenian noble at the Mughal court. Which one of the following foreign travelers is referred to in the above statement? Now, again, here there are 2, 3 very important catches. So, either you know it, you don't know it. The catch here is firstly Danishman Khan, because Danishman Khan was a very important Armenian with a very important French, Francois Bernier. Bernier, the second catch is physician, because he was a physician to Shah Jahan's son Darashikoh, and Shah Jahan himself was also very impressed by Bernier. So there are 3 catches here. First, Darashikoh, physician, Danishman Khan. Again, this is not an extraordinary fact, a very standard known fact given in the NCERT also. So here, Francois Bernier is the answer D. Okay. Which of the following statements are correct with respect to Lingayats? Now, Lingayats from time to time remain in the news because of the sub judice issues related to how they try to say that they are not part of Shaivism or they're separate to the Hinduistic religion itself. But here there's a standard statement which everybody plays with. And that is again the basic logic which we use, a very simple fact which will give you the answer. Basavana, the founder of Lingayat movement, was a minister in the court of Chola ruler. They believed that on death, the devotees united with Lord Shiva and when Lord returned to the world. They practiced funerary rites such as cremation. They encouraged certain practices which were disappear or disapproved in the Dharma Shastra itself. Now, very simply, there's only one thing which they play with. First, they play with the ruler. It is not Chola, it is Kaljuri. This is again not a difficult point. Again, if you're finding it difficult, then you need to go back. Bhaktism, standard thing. They always play. I always say it in class. They always play with the ruler. So here, this statement is incorrect. We have to find correct. So one goes out. Now we have two options: 2 and 4 only, 3 and 4 only. Now we know one more thing, which is that 4 is correct because in both 4 is there. Now we need to decide if second is correct or third is correct. Now again, a very important known fact about the Lingayats is, unlike other Hinduistic religious practices, they do not cremate but they bury. Therefore, this is an incorrect statement, and the answer is 2 and 4 only. 3 is incorrect. Now, this again you would say, sir, that how should I know? You would know if you go through basic books and basic texts, because these are not extraordinary facts. Very standard thing about the Lingayats is the fact that they bury, and yes, they actually practice a lot of things which are disapproved in the Dharma Shastra. Very progressive form of a bhakti tradition within the Lingayat tradition itself. They also talk about not accepting caste barriers, and they also talk about social reform. So it's an interesting period and an interesting what we call as subsect within the larger bhakti movement itself. Right? Any issues till this point? No? Perfect. Now this term, it's a easy question, but it's a difficult question. I'll tell you why. Because no one really cares. When you're going through art and culture, this is the last thing you would do, which is calendars. But I am doing it because it was in the news. Therefore, I'm just telling you, I'm giving you this information for your basic understanding. The term Chitrai, recently seen in the news, is the first month of which one of the following calendars in India? Hijri, Zoroastrian, Telugu, Tamil. Here, if you're from the region, you would know very well. Answer is D, Tamil traditional calendar. The word Chitrai is used. Again, you know it, you don't know it, don't attempt it in the examination, but because it was in the news, it becomes important for me to tell you this basic fact, which is the fact that the Tamil calendar talks about this term, I am giving you this information for your reference and understanding. Okay. Now, again, needs basic understanding, only needs you need to know one basic fact and basic logic. Which of the following are correct with regards to Sikhism in India? After Guru Ramdas, the fourth Sikh Guru, the Guruship became hereditary. The current Bangla Sahib Gurdwara in Delhi stands on a land provided by Raja Jai Singh of Amer. Guru Tegh Bahadur was a contemporary of Akbar, the Mughal emperor. Here again, which is the statement? Which is the statement which is slam dunk, very standardly known? Yes, perfect, very good. This one. Guru Tegh Bahadur was not a contemporary of Akbar. That would not have been an issue itself. It's Aurangzeb. And Aurangzeb had a major issue with Guru Tegh Bahadur, how he was becoming a parallel authority in the eastern sector, and that is why the martyring of Guru Tegh Bahadur. Therefore, this statement is totally incorrect. This goes away. Now we know one thing. We know the difficult statement, which is that yes, current Bangla Sahib Gurdwara stands on the land provided by Raja Jai Singh of Amer. Now you need to know, is Guru Ramdas the fourth Sikh Guru? After which hereditary? Yes, this is again a standard known fact. Answer is 1 and 2 only. So when we'll do Sikhism in class, or when you would have done Sikhism, basic facts about all gurus needs to be known. And the fact is that fourth Guru, after which it becomes hereditary, or the fifth Guru is the hereditary Guru. So here again, I used elimination. And when I used elimination, I got 50-50. That gave me the more difficult statement. Thereafter, I only needed to know again a very standard thing about Sikhism, generally, which is the concept of guruship becoming hereditary. That's it. Perfect. Okay. Now, with reference to the history of philosophical thought in India, which of the following statements regarding Sankhya Samkhya school of philosophy are correct? It argued that Anumana is one of the ways to acquire real knowledge which is necessary to attain salvation. It believed in Advaita or Advaita, non-dualism. It believed in theory of Satya Karvada, and Vidha Mukti is the only form of liberation. Now, this question on face value looks extremely difficult because they've used the terms Anumana, Satya Karvada, Vidha Mukti. But this question is actually very easy because of one basic statement. That statement is here. Why? Because there are 6 schools of philosophy, out of which 4 are Dvaita and 2 are Advaita. 2 which are Advaita are Mimamsa, Uttar and Purv, and the Dvaita schools is Nyaya, Yoga, Vaisheshika and Sankhya. This statement is totally incorrect. They believed in Prakriti and Purusha, dualism, not non-dualism. Therefore, 2 gone, 2 gone, 2 gone. Answer automatically comes to you. So now, if you look at this question, is it difficult? No, it isn't. You just needed to know that basic fact of Dvaita and Advaita. So, Dvaita schools would be Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Yoga, Sankhya. And Advaita schools is Uttar Mimamsa and Purva Mimamsa. Technically, Mimamsa school, also called Vedanta. So basically, this question, Anumana is the real way? Yes, it is. Advait, it's a non-dualistic, it's a dualistic school. It believed in the theory of Satya Karvada, which is that you have to do everything and understand everything properly to understand knowledge. Yes, it is. And it's not Vidhamukti, it's called Jivan Mukti and Vidhamukti, 2 types of salvation. But again, doesn't really matter because the answer is in front of us. I don't delve into the question because the point is the examiner doesn't want you to know 2 and 4. The examiner only wants you to know one statement, which is 2. So, is this question difficult or easy? On face value, it looks difficult. That I can agree with you. But thereafter, it becomes easy. So, what am I using? I am using basic, not very difficult things, very basic knowledge of my what we call as residual knowledge of art and culture, and generally what we call as philosophies. Okay. Which one of the following was not the reason for the decline of Gupta Empire? The decline in revenues from foreign trade and commerce due to the loss of Western India, the practice of making payments in the form of cash in place of land grants during the later Gupta period, the failure of the Gupta rulers to resist the Huna invasions, the rebellion by the feudatories who declared themselves as independent. Now, this again is a very standard thing called what we call as feudalistic tendencies in India. And we very well know that the answer here is the second statement, because the reason for the decline of the Guptas was giving land grants in lieu of services in the later Gupta period rather than making cash payments. If they were actually giving cash payments, that would not have been the problem. The problem was Satvahana started this tradition. And when they started this tradition, they created a very dangerous precedence in the Indian subcontinent, which the Guptas used when they did not have money. Therefore, the answer here is B. This is not the reason. Technically, the reason is that they were giving land grants rather than giving cash salaries. So again, an easy question. Just need to know basic understanding. Okay. Now, in this question, again you need art and culture plus geography. So you see, it was recently recognized by the Government of India under the promotion of inclusiveness through sports component of the Khelo India scheme. It is a martial arts promoted by the Pandyas, Choras, and Chelas. The reference to the sale of items, the reference to the sale of items related to the martial arts to foreign traders can be even found in the Shila Padikram. Which of the following is described? Now, here again, you need to know basically Pandya, Chola, Chera means South India. And it says Thangta, Mushtiyuga, Yudha, Parikanda or Silamban. See, the answer here is technically Silamban, which is referred to in the Shila Padikram also, Chora, Chela, Pandya. But there's another way to come to the answer. I'll tell you how. Thangta technically is Manipur. This is UP, Varanasi sector, and Parikanda is eastern sector. So, Silamban is the only one which comes into South India. The question would have become difficult if it said Kalripat also. When it's Kalripat and then Silamban, then it becomes difficult because there are two out of South India. But they have just played with the geography of the question, nothing more. So if you knew this, you knew the answer automatically. Okay, let's move forward. Again, these questions are extremely easy if you are practicing art and culture every day and understand basic art and culture. And there, these things are technically not something which you have to go beyond Nitin Singhania to find. Very standard known fact. Okay. The famous leap of joy in which the revelers, which is the people who worship, jump into wells, streams, and ponds, is a part of which festival? The Vanchuva, Kailpod, Shirui Lili, or Sao Juan. Now again, I'll push a poll to you. I would like to see if you can pick it up. 15 seconds I'm giving you. Let's see. Vimal, the number of questions can range from 5 to 8 from each. Okay, it's a mixed bag, 16, 29, 23, 33. See, the answer here is technically Sao Juan. It's a Goa-based famous concept of leap of joy. See, the catch here is it says leap. It's related to Christianity. And out of the four given, Sao Joao is a very important festival within Goa. It was recently in the news. That is why. So people, and you would have seen it happening in even as far as in Russia, Ukraine, in Eastern European countries, they always go into very ice cold water as a form of leap of joy. So that's a catch here, but that's the basic point. Okay. Now again, this question, only one statement I need. Other than that, I will close my eye and I know the answer. But that one statement is, you see how the examiner has put it, where he's put it. He liked to create artificial elements in paintings and tried to reduce its liveliness. He was inspired by European influence, brought unnatural stiffness in Mughal miniature painting. He encouraged the artist to use a pencil and avoid charcoal for sketching. He also increased the use of gold and silver in the painting. Now, in this, I really don't care what is written before this line because everything else is just deflection. Who increased gold and silver in paintings? Shah Jahan. The answer is very simple. There is nothing here because Jahangir can't be, because Jahangir would be talking about naturalism. Naturalism would not talk about European influence too much or the concept of non-liveliness. Rather, the basic point is there's a very important known feature of Shah Jahan, which is use of gold and silver in painting. He had that money. He is the one who bankrupted the Mughals also, and that is why he gets his place as the person who increased the use of gold and silver. Again, a very standard known fact, very easy question in that regard. Okay. Consider following statements regarding the Chishti Silsila. Again, a very easy question. The Chishti order was established in India by Nizamuddin Aulia. They refused to accept any grant for their maintenance from sultans of Delhi. The Chistis considered love as the bond between God and individual soul. Now, this question again: who is the founder of Chisti order? You tell me. Yes, Shreya, very good. Which is Muinuddin Chisti. This statement is incorrect. Two options left. We know that it is about love, God, and individual soul. One of the most important concepts of the Chistis was what? They never took patronage from the king or took state employment. So the answer here is 2 and 3. So this question is again extremely easy because these are very standard known facts. Sufism and Bhaktism always remains a very fertile zone for mains and prelims questions, and these are very simple questions in that regard. Okay. Now, consider the following statements with reference to Kalidas. Again, Kalidas, very standard known concept, very standard question, nothing extraordinary. He was one of the Navaratans in the court of Chandragupta II, Vikramaditya. Totally correct. Kalidasa's work, Kumar Sambhavam, depicts the story of the birth of the son of Shiva and Parvati. Kumara, totally correct. He described the Mahakal temple in Ujjain having wooden pillars in the poetic work of Meghdut. This is also correct. But the question is, why am I asking you this question? I'm asking you this question because of the Mahakal corridor which the Prime Minister has inaugurated. And within that, you have the Mahakal temple in Ujjain. Therefore, this statement now becomes relevant, and this is technically a question of current affairs. And the basic point of the matter is, this statement is something I wanted you to know. That why are they talking about the Mahakal temple in Ujjain? Because there's a new Mahakal corridor, and within that Mahakal corridor, the Ujjain temple comes through. Here, all three statements are correct. But this question was about teaching you something more than asking you anything. Remember, this is not a question of static, it's a current affairs based question in that regard. Okay. Guma, just refresh. If there's an issue, you refresh. Okay. Now, again, current affairs, art and culture for educational purposes, very important. Here again, you need to know a very simple top point, and thereafter you will come to the answer automatically. Consider the following statements with reference to the Veer Bal Divas, observed as a tribute to the sacrifice of the youngest sons of Guru Gobind Singh, recently seen in the news. It is a tribute to the bravery of children and will be observed and is observed every year on 26th December. It is dedicated to the two youngest sons of Guru Gobind Singh who were bricked alive on the orders of the Mughal emperor for criticizing the emperor. The Gurdwara Jyoti Swarup was built in Fatehgarh Sahib on the land of their cremation. Now you need to know which is correct statements. Now here again, the point is there are too many facts, but we know one thing for sure, which is that this statement is incorrect. Why do we know that? Because they were not martyred because of criticizing the emperor, because Aurangzeb asked them to convert to Islam. So he either gave them a sword or the Quran, and they didn't accept the conversion to Islam. Therefore, they were not bricked alive. They were not martyred because they criticized the emperor. They were martyred because they did not accept the orders of the emperor or Aurangzeb itself. Therefore, 2 is incorrect. Now we know one thing, which is that the more difficult statement is correct, which is that yes, Fatehgarh Sahib, the Jyoti Swarup Gurdwara is made on it. That is common to both the options. First statement, as we said, the point is you need to know this basic fact about Veer Bal Divas. The Prime Minister was recently involved in it also. It was in the news quite a lot. You should know the date at least in that regard, which is 26th December. Are you getting my point? Are you getting the question? It's not a difficult question if you know the basic facts. That's it. Sikhism is, and the topics which we are doing here are very standard things which we do in class, which is always covered in standard books also. Okay. Consider the following statements regarding tobacco in India during Mughal rule. Tobacco cultivation in India was introduced in the Mughal period only. The Ain-e-Akbari also mentions tobacco in the list of crops in northern India. Jahangir was so concerned about its addiction that he banned it. Now, it's an interesting question because narcotic history is always interesting, but there's a very important catch here. These two statements are called contradictory statements. This is why I took this question with you. These are called contradictory statements. Why are they called contradictory statements? Because if one is true, the other one can't be true. And the other one can't be true if the first one is true. Tobacco cultivation in India was introduced during Mughal period only. The word is introduced. And then it says, Aine-Akbari mentions tobacco as a crop of North India. So what this statement is saying is tobacco is indigenous to North India. And what this statement is saying is that tobacco was introduced into India. Now, if you will do early modern or modern with us, we will discuss Portuguese. And the Portuguese were the ones who technically introduced the tobacco plant into India during the Mughal period. Now, if one is correct, two cannot be correct, because then technically it would mean that that Abul Fazl knew that there was already tobacco in India, which is technically not true. That is all indigenous crops. There is no mention of tobacco. Now, if 2 is incorrect, we have again 2 options left. And the beauty is that we already know that the first statement is correct. So the answer here is 1 and 3 only. So here again, you see the logic, you see the thought process. That is why we are doing this session. This session is not to tell you the key. You know the answer already. The basic point is, how am I coming to that answer? Which is using my basic knowledge. These are basic skills of a UPSC aspirant. Knowing elimination, reading very, very closely, understanding what are called contradictory statements. This is how you identify a contradictory statement. Either one can be true or two can be true. Ironically, one is true because we cover it as part of the basic crops which we use today. A lot of them staples were actually introduced by the Portuguese, from potatoes to tobacco. Very, very standard. And yes, Jahangir was very concerned about it, which doesn't come or go with the image of the Mughals, but he also banned it. But by the time he banned it, tobacco had become a very standard source of intoxication in India in that regard. So the logic here is concept of contradictory statements. This statement says this is indigenous, is outside from India. It's coming from outside. It says introduced. And the second statement says it is in the list of crops in northern India, which means that it would be an indigenous crop. So you're understanding the negative here. If this is right, this cannot be right. If this is right, this cannot be right, because one is saying introduced, other is saying indigenous. That is okay. Perfect. Now, in the context of difference between Rajput style and Mughal style of paintings, consider the following statements. While the initial Rajput style was based on mural and fresco forms, the Mughal style was influenced by Persian miniature paintings. Rajput style focused on tree, camel, falcon in the paintings, while Mughal style painting was used symbols like lotus, peacock, swan very frequently. Which of the statements is incorrect? Now, very, very straightforward. We know that Mughal painting was miniature painting. So this statement is correct. Yes. Rajput paintings, big mural paintings. The point was that you could not represent human form in Islam. Therefore, miniature painting was the only way the Mughals could express via paintings. They could not express it in public. They could not make big pictures. So first statement is correct. Now, what the examiner has actually done, he has reversed the order here. Lotus, peacock, and swan are Hinduistic symbols, and they would technically be more common in Rajput style. While tree, camel, falcon are the areas from which the Mughals are coming, the Timurian sector, the Sub-West Central Asian sector. Therefore, this statement is incorrect. The statement which is incorrect is 2 only. Here again, we are not using extraordinary knowledge. It is basic knowledge of what? Of how the different stylistic elements developed and what were the stylistic elements in that regard. So please remember one thing very, very clearly, that you need to know basic features for sure. I use basic here, I use basic here. Okay. Now, again, orthodox school, but this question is difficult because of this. The Mimamsa philosophy has given more importance to Vedas than to God. Vaisheshika school is considered to be the propounder of mechanical process of formation of the universe. Both Nyaya and Vaisheshika recognize only 2 pramanas of perception and inference. Now, the only should be a red flag already. But let's see. Does Mimamsa give Veda more than God the emphasis? Yes. Mimamsa is nothing but Brahmanical Vedic Brahmanism changing its form, trying to revive. So basically, this is totally correct. Vaisheshika, known for the mechanical process, it is also called the school of atomism. It is a school which talks about the elements. So therefore, this is also correct. But now the problem is it's this type of question. So we need to know if the third statement is also correct or incorrect. It says both Nyaya Vaisheshika only two pramanas. Technically not right. There are two in Vaisheshika, but four in Nyaya. And the only should be a red flag. So the answer is technically which is correct? Only two statements. But let's talk about the four. Perception and inference are both common to Vaisheshika and Nyaya. But comparison and verbal authority is something which are the next two which Nyaya talks about quite a lot. Because for Nyaya, knowledge can be both right and wrong. So therefore, it is only through comparison and verbal authority that right and wrong knowledge can actually be differentiated. Therefore, 4 for Nyaya, Vaisheshika only 2. This is a very standard thing again what we cover in class. But again, it's a difficult question because of the way it has been asked in that regard. Till this point, any issue? Can we move forward? No issues? Perfect. Now, this question is for your education. You should need to know it because it was in the news. Consider the following statements regarding the Antiquities and Art Treasures Act 1972, which was recently in the news. It was enacted to regulate export trade in antiquities and trade measures or trade treasures, art treasures. It does not allow the forced acquisition of antiquities and art treasures for preservation in public places. The 100-year-old philetic means related to stamps. Exhibits such as stamps and envelopes can be recognized as antiquities under this act. Now, this statement is important. I'm not going to ask you this question. I'm telling you. This statement is important because the Supreme Court recently said yes, stamps which are more than 100 years old or very, very old can become what are called artistic treasures. They can be acquired. This statement is totally correct. Yes, it has been enacted to regulate the export of art because from India, a lot of things get exported outside illegally. But this statement is incorrect because yes, it allows for India to forcefully acquire something to preserve it. So it can be taken from a private individual also. It can be taken from a country also via means which are necessary to do it. So this statement is incorrect. The answer is 1 and 3, which is correct. This statement should be it does allow. It does allow for forced acquisition of antiquities and for preservation. For preservation purposes, if we know it is of Indian origin, we can use different means to get it back. So it does not create a roadblock, rather it enables. Okay. Consider the following with respect to Indian properties or sites inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List of 2022 prepared under the World Heritage Convention. Now, here again, there are two what are called contradictory statements. Now, I want, as I'm reading it, you see how they manifest themselves in front of you. Kaziranga National Park is the only natural site from India to be included in the list. Kanchenjunga or Kanchenjunga National Park is the only mixed heritage site from India that is included in the list. Dholavira is the first site of ancient Indian Indus Valley civilization to be included in the list. Now, which are the two statements which are contradictory to each other? Can anybody tell me that? Very good, Nazal. Very good, Manisha. Very good, very good, very good. Vaibhav, Neha. Very good. Perfect. Which is 1 and 3. 1 and 2 rather. How? See, it says Kaziranga only natural site. But it says the Kanchenjunga National Park is only mixed site. Mixed site means natural plus heritage. So now, if this is correct, this can't be correct. If this is correct, this can't be correct. This is totally correct. This is wrong. There are technically 7 sites natural sites, but I didn't need to know that information. I just needed to know that if Kanchandajunga is a only mixed site, yes, it is the only mixed site, then Kaziranga can't be the only one. So 2 has to be there. 1 is incorrect. 1 is incorrect. Now we know one more thing, which is that the third statement is also correct. So the answer becomes 2 and 3. And yes, Dholavira is the first site from Indus Valley civilization to be put into that list. It took them quite long to recognize it, but it has been put it in that sense. So it's very, very simple in that sense. If you know your basic logic, I'm using logic, I'm using basic mental abilities. I'm not using extraordinary knowledge. I'm not using the concept. I'm looking at the list and all. No, I don't care what are the other 7 sites. For me, in this question, what is more important is 1 and 2 seem in contradictory to each other. I know that Kanchandajunga is the only mixed heritage site. So automatically 1 has to be incorrect in that sense. Okay. With reference to Mansabdari system in Mughal rule, consider the following statements. It fixed the number of armed retainers that the holder of Mansab were to maintain. The Mansab awarded to an individual fixed his status in the official hierarchy, but not his salary. The Mansab rank was hereditary in nature. Now, this question should not be difficult because of this. It's a very easy question. This is totally incorrect. It was non-hereditary. And this is totally also incorrect. It was technically only fixing salary and hierarchy both. That was the basic point of Mansabdari. So the only statement which is correct is yes, the Savar rank used to tell you what is the level of armed retainers or savars you need to have. So which of the statement is correct? Only one statement is correct. Mansabdari was never hereditary. Mansabdari was the most important check and balance was the fact that you could be transferred, non-hereditary, and the fact that it used to have 2 ranks, Zat and Savar. Zat used to put your rank plus salary. Savar is something related to the cavalrymen you needed to have or the armed retainers you needed to have at that specific Mansab. Okay. Yes, only Vatan Jagir was hereditary. Yeah, that's very good. Perfect. Consider the following statements regarding the Bashoi school of painting. Now, again, here I'm not asking you anything because this question is again about telling you how current affairs impacts art and culture. See, 3 statements are there. Raja Kripal Pal was the first patron of the school. One of the most significant features of the school is the small, shiny, green particles of beetle wings to stimulate the effect of emeralds. The Bhanudatta's Rasamanjari is one of the most famous. Technically, all statements are correct, but I want to show you something. What I want to show, this is a difficult question, is this. The question why this question actually came was the fact that our Prime Minister gave the Prime Minister of Nepal a painting of this school. And therefore, the Pahadi school, which is also the Bashoi school, the the current affairs in that sense now becomes the reason why you get a question like this. So please, please, please learn this. This is very, very important for the examination because of the way it has manifested itself in the larger question. So it's a current affairs based question. And then you will say, why is UPSC asking me these questions? It is asking you these questions because of this, the current affairs. So whenever you find something like this in the newspaper, do give a lot of attention to that. Getting my point, everyone? Okay, perfect. With reference to cultural institutions in India, recently in the news, consider the following statements. Only performing artists or arts, what is called performative arts or performative artists, are eligible for the Akademi Puraskar, Sangeet Natak Academy Puraskar from the Republic of India. The National Exhibition of Art is organized annually by Lalit Kala Academy, which is incorrect. Now, here, this is correct. This is correct that Lalit Kala Academy organizes the National Exhibition of Art. Again, I'm telling you this, not asking you. But here, the only should again be a red flag for you. It is totally incorrect. The answer is one only. Not only performing artists, but teachers and scholars can get the Sangeet Natkar Academic Award. So please remember this for sure. Again, these are topics which you will most probably ignore. That is why I am doing it here. I am doing it here. Okay. Again, very easy question related to Sufism. Consider the following statement regarding Sufism. The term used for Sufism in Islamic text is Khanka. The word silsila literally means a chain signifying a continuous link between master and disciple. The Sufis sought to interpret the holy book of Quran on the basis of their personal experience. Now, very simply, if you know Sufism, you would know Khanka Dargah does not refer to Sufism. Now, two options are left. We know that second is right. Silsila means technically nothing but continuous link. Silsila is nothing but the order, Chisti Silsila, Shoravardi Silsila. And yes, Sufism is nothing but the reinterpretation of Islam in their own way itself. So the answer becomes 2 and 3 only. But the point of the matter is this was the catch here. The term Sufism in Islamic text is what is called tajawwuh. It's called tajawwuh, but technically I don't really care about that. Khanka is not the word that we already know. Khanka Dargah when the Pir is alive, Khanka when he is dead Dargah, and Pir Murid standard terms of Sufism. Okay. Consider the following pairs in the context of orthodox schools in Indian philosophy and their founders. Mimamsa, Jamini, Vaisheshika, Kannada, Nyaya, Gautama Muni, Sankhya, Kapila. I will push a poll, very easy question, but why not? Come on. Afreen, answer. Still a mixed bag for some reason. 4% A, 39% B, 27% C, 29% D, and the answer is all are correctly matched. All four. Yes, Mimamsa, Jamini, Vaisheshika, Kannada, Nyaya, Gautama Muni, and Sankhya, Kapila. Totally correct. That is why I was technical. This is a very basic fact. Very basic fact. You need to know these things, and you should be knowing it. You should be knowing. So nothing here. All are totally correctly matched. Founders and philosophy. Very standard question. Very basic question which comes in the exam. Okay. Now again, looks heavy. I'm telling you the answer, but I want you to learn from it. Consider the following statements with regarding to the Charak Samhita, comes in the from time to time is in the news, so you should know it. It deals with the use of plants and herbs for medicinal purposes. An imbalance between three doshas of the body is considered for the reason of sickness of the body. Genetics is also mentioned in the book. It includes the Maharshi Charak Shapat, which lays down the ground rules for practice of medicine for a student. Which of the statements are correct? All four are correct. Learn this. Please learn this. That is why I'm doing it here. It is very, very important that you know these basic facts. Charak Samhita, the Gupta period, very golden age for culture in that regard, and is a very important text produced at that point of time. So yes, medicinal purposes, herbs. Second, it is a practice of medicine for students. It has a guideline for it. Genetics is also mentioned, and the concept of three doshas. This is why I'm discussing it here. I could have easily ignored the question, but I'm doing it because you need to know these things. Very important text, very standard text for the examination. Okay. Consider the following options which is incorrect regarding tantric worship during the medieval period or medieval times. It was associated with the worship of goddesses. It was open to both men and women. Tantrism accepted the authority of the Vedas. It treated the human body as an epitome of the universe. Now, this question, again, very easy because one statement seems absurd. Tantricism technically is based on the frustration with Vedic practices. So, Tantricism is when Vedic Brahmanism starts to move away from the obsession with Vedas. Goddess worship, yes, when Tantrism enters Buddhism, Tara becomes very important. Men and women both important, and for them you can use tantra mantra and use your body to technically become or capture or become or get moksha in that realm. So very simple, Tantrism cannot be accepting the authorities of Vedas because it was frustrated by the Vedas itself. Okay. Actual question, but an easy question. Which of the following are included in UNESCO's site of representative list of the intangible culture heritage of humanity? So, intangible culture heritage list: Kalbeli, Kudiyattam, Durga Puja, Kavali, Kumbh Mela, and Kollam. Now, in this very straightforward slam dunk, this and this, both of them never mentioned in any list of intangible heritages. Is Kalbeli there? Yes. Kudiyattam there? Yes. Durga Puja? Yes. And Kumbh Mela? Yes. So 1, 2, 3, and 5. 1, 2, 3, and 5 only. D. So this question, not difficult. This is a very standard thing which you need to know for the examination. It's a very small list also. And Kavali and Kollam, not in the list itself. Representative list means the list itself, the official name for that list is representative list. Okay. With reference to Maratha administration, consider the following reference to Ashtapradhan. So technically, 8 ministers around the king, the Chhatrapati. Sarai Naubat, military commander. Vakya Navis, intelligence, posts and household affairs. Sumanta, master of ceremonies. Amatya, finance and general administration. Now, here again, one is very straightforward. This is Peshwa. Technically, it is the Peshwa who controls the finances also and the general administration, like the prime minister. So this is totally incorrect. Sarai Naubat is military commander. Yes. Vakya Navis, intelligence. Yes. Sumanta is master of ceremonies or the darbar itself. Yes. So only 3 pairs are correctly matched. Remember, Peshwa, the word firstly, Amatya, is a very old term used for Mauryan period. And finance and general administration was very important position within Maratha administration, and it was the Peshwa who used to be having this office or role in the administration rather than the Amatya. Amatya is a Mauryan term, persisted till Gupta period, but medieval India and specifically Maratha administration, Amatya is a very rare word in that regard. Okay. Consider the following statements with reference to Jagirdari system during the Mughal rule in India. The Jagirdari system was an integral part of Mansabdari system. The revenue of the Jagir went to the imperial treasury. Amin was posted in each Suba to see that Jagirdars were following imperial regulations. Now, here again, very easy. See, the revenue of Jagir went to imperial treasury. Jagir and Khalisa. The fact is that the whole empire was divided into 2 parts. What's called Paibaki and Khalisa. Khalisa land is where the money goes to the imperial treasury and not the Jagir. In the Jagir, the concept is that the Mansabdar becomes a Jagirdar. He gets his salary in the form of Jagir revenue. So 2 is incorrect. Now we know one thing, which is the more difficult statement, which is that the third statement is correct, which is that yes, Amins are the ones who actually go and collect the revenue and give it to the Jagirdar to make sure that there is no corruption with the Jagirdar system or Mansabdari Jagirdari system itself. This is correct. Now we need to decide if first statement is correct or not, which is Jagirdari was integral part of Mansabdari. Yes, you Jagirdar was automatically a Mansabdar, but not a Mansabdar becomes a Jagirdar. So there's a rule. Not all Mansabdars are Jagirdars, but all Jagirdars are Mansabdars. So the answer becomes D, 1 and 3 only. So it's a very simple, again, concept based on basic rules of Jagirdari and Mansabdari. Nothing extraordinary. Yes, Mansabdari system, integral Jagirdari system, because it was the way of giving salaries to very big Jagirdars or very big Mansabdars, and Amin was there. But the revenue of the Jagir goes to the Jagirdar and not to the imperial treasury. Till this point, no issues? Okay. Consider the following statements in the context of religious practices of Akbar. He built an Ibadat Khana in Fatehpur Sikri, where he invited people of all religions for discussion on spiritual and religious topics. As per the ideal of Sulh Kul, all religions or all religions or schools of thoughts had freedom to express on condition that they did not fight among themselves. He abolished the tax on pilgrimage and jizya as the two were based on religious discrimination. I would like you to take this question. It's a very easy question. Why not? Very good. 61% of you got it totally right. 11, 24, and 61. All three statements are correct. Yes, Fatehpur Sikri, Ibadat Khana for discussions. First Sunnis, then Shias also, then everybody. Sulekul talks about thinking, about talking about religion. Totally correct. And three, did he abolish jizya and pilgrimage tax? He did. So, all three statements are correct. Perfect. Great. So, again, not any difficult question. Consider the following statements with reference to Samudragupta. The inscription about his military conquest and greatness is engraved on the same pillar as the Allahabad at Allahabad, which carries the inscription of King Ashoka, which is called the Allahabad or the Prayag Prasasti. He granted permission to Meghvarman, the ruler of Sri Lanka, to build a Buddhist monastery at Bodh Gaya. Which of the statements are correct? Technically, both are correct. Yes, he engraved on the same thing on which Ashoka had already engraved. That was a power move. Second is he also gave the land on which this monastery was built. Meghvarma, Meghvarman technically asked permission from Samudragupta that he wanted to make a vihara. Vihara is nothing but a monastery for the Buddhist monks in Bodh Gaya, and Samudragupta allowed it and even gave the land on which this was made. So again, two very standard facts about Samudragupta, not an extraordinary question, not an extraordinary fact in that regard. Standard facts related to Samudragupta. Okay. Now this question, you need to use logic, elimination, and basic knowledge. See, Pala School of Art is something which we cover and is generally there in Nitin Singhania. In any standard book you will see, it is there. So, these paintings are in the form of manuscripts, generally made on palm leaf or vellum paper. These group paintings, these are group paintings technically. These group paintings and lonely figures are generally rarely found. The most common theme in this painting is Jainism. Dimman and Vitapala are the prominent painters in this school. You tell me which is the statement which gives away everything. Yes, very good, Shreya. Very good. Yes, very good. This one. It says Pala. Palas were Buddhist. And if Palas are Buddhist, this statement cannot be correct. The theme was not Buddhist, it was not Jainism, but Buddhism. So this goes, this goes. Now we know that 1 and 4 are correct. Vellum paper, palm leaf, yes. Second, Dimman and Vitapala are the prominent. Now we need to decide group painting or lonely. This is the catch. Technically, this statement is incorrect. The Pala school, lonely figures are there more rather than group pictures. So they were Vajrayanically influenced. Therefore, the answer here becomes 1 and 4 only. 2 and 3 are incorrect. They find lonely figures are more common, group paintings are rare, and we had a way of catching the answer because of the fact that we knew that Palas are Buddhist, and therefore the theme cannot be Jain. So this is again using residual knowledge of political history in art and culture. Okay. With reference to the Vangala festival recently in the news, consider the following statements. Again, for your educational purpose, learn this. Important. The Vangala festival is primarily observed by the Garo tribe of Meghalaya. A feathered headgear is worn by everyone celebrating the festival, indicating their clan. It is also known as the 100 Drums Festival, which is incorrect. Which is incorrect. Now here, technically, none of the statements is incorrect. All three statements are correct. Basic, don't have to confuse it, don't have to make it very confusing for them. Just learn this. Important, came in the news, that is why we are doing it. Now, this is a more interesting question and much more important question. Okay. Consider the following statements with reference to Mauryan administration. Till this point, everybody is with me, no issues, right? Okay. Now, the provinces were headed by Pardeshika and the divisions were headed by Rajukas. According to Megasthenes, the city administration of Patliputra used to be conducted by 6 different committees. The Mahamatyas during the Mauryan period were high-ranking officers in charge of frontier areas. Which of the statements is incorrect? Now, the point is that it looks like all are correct, but it says incorrect and there's no option of none of the above. Which means that basically this is how you use the logic of the question to understand that there has to be one statement which is incorrect. Now, the province was headed by Pardeshika and the division was headed by Rajuka. Totally incorrect. Pardeshika is the head of the urban sector. Rajukas are the head of the rural sector. Again, a very standard known thing. So 1 and 1 and 2 only. Now 2 options are there. Now we need to know if the second statement is incorrect or not. Now this is what it makes it difficult, because the second statement is correct. So the answer is 1 only, but this is something which is an obscure fact, which is that Megasthenes refers to 6 different committees through which it was being conducted or the administration was conducted. So this is what I want you to learn from this question, that if in the examination they ask you the exact number of what we call as committees ruling Patliputra, 6. Remember that. And yes, Mahamatyas are the people who used to lunk Anta. Anta. Ant means end. So Anta Mahamatya. And the other way was also about getting elimination via 3 only. Anta itself is in the statement itself. Okay. Now, this question everybody should answer, very easy. Majma ul Bahrain, a very important text, talks about Quranic and Vedantic philosophy together. Very standard known. Let's push a poll. Everybody has to answer. Very easy question. Come on. 47% are totally correct. 22, 9, 21. Darashiko, standard, very standard. Ibn Battuta never wrote something like this. Humayun never had the time to write anything. Abul Fazal, known only for Akbarnama. So Majma'ul Bahrain was a very important text of Darashiko, and it's important because it talks about Vedantic, Upanishadic philosophy, and he mixes it with Quranic philosophy. So it's a very important text of syncretism of how these two cultures were interacting with each other. So it's a very standard known text. So don't have to worry about it, but it's a standard known text written by Dara Shikoh. Okay. Now again, this is a very interesting question and very important because it was again in the news and it sounds like everything is right. With reference to the Kai chutney or the ant chutney, consider the following statements. It is made from the weaver's ant, scientifically called the Ophilia samagridina. This chutney is rich in protein, vitamin B12, and minerals and has been proven to boost immunity. Orissa recently got the GI tag for Kai chutney. Kai chutney. Now, which of the statements are correct? Now, the first point is that this is a very unique chutney which is made in the eastern sector itself. And yes, it is made out of weaver ant. Now, please learn this. There was a proper article in the Hindu newspaper on this. That is why we're doing it. Now, yes, weaver's ant. Yes, it boosts immunity. However, it has no GI tag. Remember this for sure. So the answer here is which is correct? 1 and 2 only. Please remember, Kai chutney does not have GI tag. Does not have GI tag. Sounds like it would have something like that, but doesn't have, because its geographical zone is a little bit more bigger than it should be, and giving it a GI tag has a problem because it is Chota Nagpur plateau also, parts of Assam also, parts of Odisha also. So therefore, GI tag is very difficult when it's multiple states. So this statement is totally incorrect. Remember this, learn this. I'm using this session to teach you something also. Please try to remember it. Okay. Again, something totally for your learning. There is no way you would know it. I would still want you to attempt this question. I'm making you attempt it because I want to see how have you been reading or not. Come on. Recently, Nihoshu was in the news for geographical indicators tag consideration. Which of the following statement correctly describes the term? It is a scented glutinous rice that is been cultivated in Manipur over centuries, an alcoholic beverage from Japanese sake, also known as Japanese sake, wine brewed by the Dimasa community in Assam, mass used in Chao dance in Bengal. Very good. A lot of you know about it. So 44% totally correct. The Nihoshu has been in the news for GI. Japan has been pushing it quite a lot. And it is an alcoholic beverage from Japan and is known as the Japanese shake. Interesting, important. Please learn it for the examination. 2 marks, free 2 marks if you know these type of terms. So these terms, very, very important. And I'm putting in the time to make you learn them here itself. Don't have to go anywhere for that. Okay. Yeah, technically, Priyanka, you're right. Nobody knew the answer. The answer key is there. That is why they knew it. I'll agree with you on that. But basically, at least you know now this term is not something new for you. Okay. With reference to trade and commerce during the Mughal times in India, consider the following with regards to hundis. Now, a hundi was a letter of credit payable after a period of time after discount. It included insurance based on the value of goods. The Shroffs specialized in dealing with hundis. Which of these statements, or how many of the statements are incorrect? Now here again, all statements are totally correct. None of the statements is incorrect. Hundi was a letter of credit. After a period, you could get discount. Yes. Included insurance. So people used to not take physical money, rather they used to take hundis. And Shroffs used to deal with it. Yes, they used to deal with it. Technically, they're the ones who used to give it. So the concept was very, very simple. Very, very simple. That if you're moving from A to B, and if you want to move money, why take physical money in the medieval period? You go to a Shroff, he is going to give you a hundi. That hundi is money. If you show that hundi at B, that next shroff is going to give you money in place of that piece of paper. So it technically becomes like a check. So it's a check, it checks, it gives you insurance, and the most important is it disallows or removes the need for physical money. Okay. Now again, I want you to use your understanding to answer this question. Which of the following paintings majorly depicts Buddhist themes? Kalamkari, Madhubani, Kalighat, Thanka. Now, again, I'm pushing a poll. I would like you to attempt this in front of me. Interesting questions. Come on. Use your basic logic. Ashutosh, what you are doing is technically overthinking it. Letter of exchange. So, what do you call a check? It's a letter of exchange. That way. Adesh, Niraj, why are you answering that? Again, should have been much more clearer. 20, 25, 16, 39. See, it says Buddhist themes. It says Buddhist theme. Kalamkari is South India. And here it would be more about Mahabharat, Hinduistic practices, and Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu have their own traditions. Madhubani painting is folk painting. And these folk paintings are technically of everyday activities. Kalighat painting is modern art and it is technically called subaltern art. Subaltern art. Because the Kalighat painters are mostly the migrant workers. It is Thanka, which talks about Vajrayanic and Mahayanic Buddhism. So you need to be very, very clear about this, that Thanka is the one which is coming from the Himalayan sector, which deals with Buddhism. So you again don't need to know D. You just need to know A, B, C, which are very standard things. Everybody knows Kalamkari painting. Everybody knows Madhubani. Everybody knows Kalighat. I don't know why a lot of you are answering B, which made no sense, because B, Madhubani is for, it's made by women, everyday form of representation. So by basis of elimination, I come to D. So it's a very easy question in that regard. So you need to know basic. See, a lot of you blindly learn a lot of things. You have to link up meaning with it. And I am using basic knowledge, nothing more, nothing less. Okay. Second last question. In the context of medieval India, the designation Diwan-e Risalat was used for whom among the following? Minister in charge of army, foreign minister, minister of communication, finance minister. Again, I'll push a poll to you. Let's see. Come on. How good your preparation is. Come on. Simpy, it hasn't refreshed. Again, mixed back 35, 26, 27, 13. See, Diwan-e Risalat is foreign minister. This is Arz-e Mumamlik, and Diwan-e Arz itself means military. So if it had said Diwan-e Arz, then it would have been first. Ministry of Communication is Diwan or Diwan-e Insha or Mumamlik. Insha-e Mumamlik. Insha means communication. And finance minister is nothing but wazir or wakil. Both are used. So technically, either you know this A, C, and D, or you know basically Risalat means foreign. Again, this is not a difficult question. If you're getting this wrong, you need to go back to medieval India basic terms. This is Delhi Sultanate. Please have to learn this. Okay, till this point, everything's okay. I will take the last question and then we take basic questions related to your preparation. So, can we do the last question? Wazir is a word which is used very loosely for 2-3 things also. Okay, last question. With reference to medieval India, consider the following statements about land revenue system of Akbar. Akbar was the first to introduce the ray system, crop rate, in land revenue administration. The Sala Zapti were instituted by him. The continuity of cultivation was taken into account while fixing land revenue. Akbar appointed Karoris to oversee facts related to agricultural produce provided by Kanun. Now, this is a very interesting question, very important question. See, let's go. Because of this, we have to go word by word. Akbar was the first to introduce ray system in land revenue administration. Yes or no? Very good, Manisha. Alam, very good. No. It was technically Sher Shah Suri who introduced the concept of ray. This statement is incorrect. Akbar is not the one who started to introduce the concept of ray. Ray as a concept was introduced by Sher Shah. Remember this. He only introduced a system around ray, which is called Desala and Zapti system. Totally correct. Desala system, 10-year average system, and on which Zapti, which is when you add Desala plus measurement, you get Zapti. Then third, continuity of cultivation was taken into account whilst fixing land revenue. Just totally correct. That is why the concept of 10-year average. That is the concept of the Hasala itself, that you try to make sure that there is continuity of land revenue and there is no variation or too much variation over a period of time. Thereafter, Akbar appointed Karoris over Kanungos. Yes. So the only 3 statements are correct. The 4th statement is incorrect, the first one itself. But yes, Karoris were the ones who were checking that Kanungos are not sending wrong data related to agricultural produce, market prices prevailing in that sector. Therefore, 3 statements correct, 1 statement incorrect. Answer is C itself. Again, not a difficult question. All of these statements are standard questions out of Zapti or revenue administration of Mughal India. So, with this, we finish our discussion of the history second paper. So, first and foremost, I would like to understand one thing from you is, overall, once you've done it with me, do you find the paper difficult or easy or moderate? Moderate, I can accept, but are you finding it difficult? Okay, perfect. So if you're finding it moderate, that was technically the level of the paper also. Now, you would have realized one thing. We've done close to 55 questions. See, out of the 100 questions asked, if you were able to get these 50 to 60 correct, your work is done, your preparation is in perfect shape and is in good shape. If you're getting negative, that is not an issue right now. You attempted all 100, you got at least 50 to 60 correct, and then 40 were incorrect. That is not a problem. That is actually not a problem. The basic point is you should be getting these 50 to 60 correct, because these questions were not difficult. These questions were logical, needed basic understanding. Factual, if you're leaving, that is not your problem. That is not a problematic aspect of your preparation. So first and foremost thing is, when you are doing sectional tests, you need to understand that all moderate to easy questions need to be correct. A lot of you are already saying that you technically need to revise. Art and culture, remember, everyday form of revision is extremely important. You can't run from it. You have to do it. And you can see the questions of art and culture are not difficult. But the problem with them nowadays is that the current affairs part is coming through. And you need to also have an understanding of geography, which is the concept of maps, and basic map of India should be in your mind. So can we all agree to the fact that, but with one basic revision, it should be not a problem, right? See, if you're getting 35 correct, 40 correct, what is happening is the moderate questions you're leaving and your residual knowledge needs to increase. Your residual knowledge. What do I mean by residual knowledge? See, if you are doing the PPTs, but plus you're doing Nitin Singhania, then you are doing, for example, NCRTs. Now, what is happening is that the basic things in the PPT, NCRT, and Nitin Singhania are also not clear. Then you're below that 50 mark. You need to integrate. See, the point of having this discussion, sitting here for 2 hours, is technically to explain to you how to approach a question. You saw that I didn't say that you need to know this fact, you need to know that fact. I demonstrated in front of you how you can get most of the answers just by using basic knowledge, elimination. Is this right or wrong? Are we using extraordinary knowledge? Did I say I gave you lists? I gave you no. I just showed you how one basic fact can help you eliminate a lot of options, and another residual knowledge, what is called base knowledge, is very, very important. So you need to revise, create a good base knowledge, because that is the knowledge which will help you in the examination also. Because every question you will do will not come in the examination, but all this base residual knowledge, art and culture, ancient, medieval, all of them need basic understanding, need what we call as everyday form of revision, and it should not be a problem generally. Clear? So we can accept that the question paper is done. And just one thing, tomorrow I will see you again for the webinar when we'll talk about GS paper 1 and GS paper 2. Other than that, any specific thing you want to ask me? Thank you, Sugama. Sugana, we will, anything specific you want to ask me, what is the term, what is the books you need to do? Obviously, Nitin Singhania, you need to do RS Sharma, you need to do PPTs. If you're a student, obviously PPTs, and Nitin Singhania NCRTs cannot be left. Modern India will be next two papers. The history 03 and 04 is Modern India. See, Vimal, as of right now, please don't ask mains questions, because now it's January. Now, if you're asking how to write answers in art and culture, historical context in introduction, basic answer in body, conclusion, significance. But now your preparation needs to be little bit moving towards prelims. Second is mains answer, art and culture from Nitin Singhania is enough. Palak, enough information is given. If you're adding the basic knowledge of ancient medieval into it, you will get it. Okay. I will be, see, and a lot of you are asking me this question. Remember, or from 16th January, the morning batch, ancient medieval art and culture, is with me. So I am extremely sorry, a lot of you were not able to do art and culture with me last time. So now any batch, be it morning, be it evening, or be it the weekend, which is coming in the next 1 to 2 months, January and February, a lot of ancient medieval art and culture, and evening batch, world history, that is also me. So don't have to worry in that regard. Now all batches I will take, don't worry in that sense. Okay. These are for BHLP students. Yeah. The other student, Kapil, Priyanshi, you can look at the tablet videos in that sense. Sir, ancient medieval art and culture not completed. Akhilesh, I don't know which batch you are. New batches, as I said, 16 January, I am starting. Okay. Yeah, so maybe for batch 5, 6, 7, these are the batches which are coming through. Okay. See, Yadav, I don't know why you're saying how to complete syllabus in 7 days. That can only happen when you've already completed the syllabus first in 30 days, then in 15 days, then in 7 days. There's no tonic I can give you in 7 days. there needs to be a phase-wise revision. First, it will take you 2 months to revise. Then it will take you 1 month to revise. Then it will take you 15 days. Then it will take you 7 days. So there has to be a way. There has to be a way. I think World History also starts on 16 Jan. 16 Jan morning batch I will be in this, evening batch I will be in this. So morning, evening both together. Okay. 11th, 12th NCERT Vikas, no. Technically, see, for ancient 6th and 12th class part 1, for medieval 7th class and 12th class part 2, and for modern 8th class and 12th class part 3. These are the important NCERTs. Okay. For 2024, you haven't studied medieval, there's a lot of time. Okay, perfect. Anything else? If not, then we'll close the session. I know that, Saurabh, I will find a way. We'll updating that, we'll find a way. Fine. Is Nitin Singhania compulsory? Yes, it is. It's a necessary evil. Can't do anything about it. Okay, perfect. So I will see you tomorrow in the webinar and we'll talk about GS paper 1 and 2, 5 interesting topics. And some of you, I will see you again on 16 January if possible. Thank you. I hope that you found these 2 hours fruitful. Take care. Bye-bye.